Everyone is about to tell you to move your container garden into the shade this July. Don't listen to them. That single piece of advice has quietly killed more balcony harvests than any heat wave ever could. Here on Smart Senior Gardeners, we don't chase trends, we test what actually holds up in real dirt, under real sun, and hand you the results straight, no exaggeration, no fluff. Today we're counting down 15 container vegetables that don't just survive July heat. They were biologically built to run on it like fuel. Stick around for the very last one. It's going to change how you plant next summer entirely. Let's get into it. Number 15, the Cucamelon, sometimes called the Mexican sour gherkin. It looks like a shrunken watermelon, but bite in and it's crisp cucumber soaked in fresh lime. Regular cucumbers collapse in July because their broad leaves lose water faster than roots can replace it. The cucamelon's leaves are tiny, cutting that water loss dramatically, and underground it quietly builds a radish-like tuber that works as its own private reserve. Use a deep 5 to 10 gallon pot, a light trellis, and soil heavy on perlite for drainage. UC Cooperative Extension has documented how well these vines handle hot, dry stress. And this isn't a modern hybrid either. The Aztecs were growing these long before Europeans reached the Americas. Number 14. The Armenian cucumber, a technicality that changes everything. Regular cucumbers turn bitter under heat stress. This one never does. Because botanically it isn't a cucumber, it's a melon. That lineage gives it a thick, waxy, reflective leaf coating that locks in moisture and bounces UV rays away. Use a 10-gallon pot and a sturdy trellis. These fruits stretch past 3 feet. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension confirms these vines hold their crisp flavor even past 95 degrees. And since it's genetically a melon, it can grow beside regular cucumbers with zero cross-pollination risk. Number 13. The Loofah gourd. And almost nobody realizes it's edible. You know it as a bath sponge, but harvested young and green, it eats like a mild zucchini. Its water-carrying vessels are unusually wide, letting roots pump water to the canopy in seconds, cooling the plant like a living air conditioner. This one needs commitment, a heavy 15-gallon pot, and the tallest trellis you can build, since it'll happily climb 20 to 30 feet. North Carolina State University confirms loofah actually needs that long, blistering midsummer daylight to trigger real flowering. And dried loofah fiber was tough enough that the U.S. Navy used it as an oil and water filter on steam-powered warships during World War II. Number 12. Garbanzo beans, better known as chickpeas. Touch the leaves and they feel sticky. That's a natural acid coating the plant produces on purpose, deterring pests and trapping humidity against the leaf. A 5 to 7 gallon grow bag is plenty. No trellis needed. The Food and Agriculture Organization lists chickpeas among the most drought-resistant legumes on the planet. Bonus fact, the leftover liquid from cooking chickpeas is called aquafaba, and it whips up just like egg whites. Number 11. Jicama, the Mexican yam bean, and this plant plays the long game. It needs the longest, hottest days of July to really move, funneling energy underground into a crisp, apple-like tuber. Use a deep 15-inch grow bag and a tall trellis and pinch off any flowers you see. That forces energy back into the tuber. USDA data confirms Jicama is loaded with inulin, a prebiotic fiber that supports gut health and blood sugar. Here's the fact that stops people cold. Only the tuber is edible. The vines, leaves, and pods are toxic, carrying a natural pesticide called rotenone. So, what did you think of those first 5? If any of them surprised you, or you've grown one before, tell us in the comments. We read every single one. New here? Subscribe now. This is exactly the kind of research-backed advice we put out weekly. Let's move into the top 10. Number 10. Turmeric. Maybe the most misunderstood plant on this list. Plant the rhizomes too early in cool spring soil, and they rot before they start. Turmeric needs the baking heat of July to explode with growth. Its broad, veined leaves work like solar panels, while transpiration builds a cooling microclimate. Use a wide, shallow container, 15 to 20 inches across, since rhizomes spread sideways, not down. University of Hawaii research found turmeric hits its highest curcumin concentration during long, hot, bright summer days. Its pigment is so permanent it's dyed Buddhist monk robes for thousands of years. Number 9. Bush lima beans. Standard green beans drop every blossom in hot July nights because heat sterilizes their pollen. Lima beans carry heat-activated pollen instead, so hot nights actually help them set pods, and their taproot digs deep for moisture other plants can't reach. Penn State Extension calls them one of the most reliable midsummer legumes. And when caterpillars attack the leaves, the plant can detect the saliva and release a chemical signal that calls in parasitic wasps to kill the attacker. Number 8. Edamame. Running its own fertilizer factory underground. As a legume, it hosts bacteria in its root nodules that pull nitrogen straight from the air and convert it into usable fertilizer, even while daily watering flushes nutrients from the pot. University of Illinois Extension found edamame planted at peak summer heat matures faster, and it's one of the rare plant foods that's a complete protein, containing all 9 essential amino acids your body can't make on its own. Number 7. Bush beans planted specifically in midsummer. Pole beans often struggle with blossom drop in peak heat, but bush beans planted now reward you with a big autumn harvest, and warm soil means seeds break the surface in 3 to 4 days. Coat your seeds in a bacterial inoculant powder first. It supercharges root development. Cornell University confirms warm July soil speeds the vegetative phase, delivering harvest in under 50 days. Beans are also one of the 3 sisters in traditional Native American agriculture, feeding nitrogen into the soil for corn and squash. Number 6. The Tomatillo, which builds its own climate-controlled shelter. Plant it too early and it sulks for months. It needs July heat to trigger its sprawling growth. The trick is the papery husk, called the Calyx, acting like a built-in shade sail that traps humidity and blocks UV damage. You need at least 2 plants growing near each other. A single tomatillo is self-incompatible and won't fruit alone. University of Illinois Extension confirms paired tomatillos in hot containers become remarkably prolific, and despite looking like a modern green tomato, fossilized tomatillos found in Mexico prove the Aztecs and Mayans were growing these long before the tomato was ever widely domesticated. That's 10 down, and the final 5 might be the most surprising yet. Tell us which one you're planting first, and subscribe if this has been useful so far. Let's step into the top 5. Number 5. New Zealand spinach, a heat-proof alternative to traditional greens. Regular spinach bolts and turns bitter the moment July heat arrives. New Zealand spinach never does, thanks to tiny, sparkling water bladders covering its succulent leaves that reflect intense sunlight away like microscopic mirrors, while keeping the leaf hydrated underneath. An 8-inch deep pot or hanging basket is ideal, since it loves to trail over the edges. Cornell University confirms it's essentially immune to the heat-induced bolting that destroys regular spinach. And it has real history. Captain Cook's crew foraged this exact plant on the shores of New Zealand and ate it to prevent scurvy on their voyage. Number 4. Pole beans, specifically heat-tolerant heirloom varieties or Asian yard-long beans. Your patio surface might hit 110 degrees, but air temperature drops noticeably just a few feet up, so climbing beans reach cooler air and better airflow, which helps prevent the fungal disease that thrives in stagnant heat at ground level. A 10-gallon pot anchors the trellis against summer wind. University of California research notes, climbing beans use full July sun to fuel rapid vertical growth, and their foliage can even cast a cooling shadow over nearby plants. Fun fact, pole beans are hardwired to twine counterclockwise around a trellis, no matter where in the world you plant them. Number 3. Summer squash, including zucchini and yellow crookneck. Planted in cool spring soil and it stalls out. But planted in the middle of July, already warm soil kicks the plant's growth into overdrive from day one. A 10 to 15 gallon container is essential to support its size and water needs. Purdue University Extension reports that midsummer planted squash actually grows fast enough to outpace the life cycle of the squash vine borer, since the first destructive generation of that pest has already died off by the time you plant. And if your plant produces flowers but no fruit, don't waste them. Squash blossoms are a genuine delicacy, often stuffed and lightly fried. Number 2. Bush cucumbers. Standard vining cucumbers wilt badly in July heat because water has to travel several feet up a thin vine to reach the leaves. Bush cucumbers are bred compact, so water reaches the canopy almost instantly, and their roots sit deeper in the cool, insulated center of the pot rather than near the baking surface. Harvest frequently. The more you pick, the more it produces. University of Georgia Extension confirms. Compact bush varieties show significantly higher survival and fruiting rates in peak heat than sprawling vine types. Fun fact, cucumber flesh is about 95% water, which is the literal origin of the phrase cool as a cucumber. And claiming number 1, bush tomatoes, genuinely built to handle the worst of summer. The most common tomato heartbreak is a plant dropping every flower without producing fruit, because nighttime temperatures above roughly 75 degrees make regular tomato pollen unreliable. Determinate bush varieties like Solar Fire or Florida 91 were bred specifically with heat-stable pollen that stays viable regardless of hot nights, so flowers actually turn into fruit. A 10 to 15 gallon pot supports the branches, and since they're determinate, no tall caging required. University of Florida IFAS recognizes these heat-tolerant bush varieties as one of the only reliable ways to guarantee a full tomato harvest straight through the hottest weeks of summer. And here's a fact worth knowing. Even though tomatoes are botanically a fruit, the U.S. Supreme Court officially classified them as a vegetable back in 1893, purely to settle an import tax dispute. Before we go, here's the single fastest way container plants actually die in July, and it has nothing to do with the vegetables themselves. It's roots cooking alive inside thin, dark plastic pots. When direct July sun hits a black nursery pot, the soil inside can spike past 120 degrees, and that kills roots outright. The fix is simple. Drop your plastic nursery pot inside a slightly larger, heavier pot. Terracotta, ceramic, even a plastic bucket works. That gap of air between the two pots acts as insulation, since air is a poor conductor of heat, and it can drop your soil temperature by up to 15 degrees almost immediately. The real secret to a thriving July garden was never about fighting the heat. It's about choosing crops that were built to use it. Pick just one of these off this list and put it in a pot this weekend, and watch how differently it handles the sun compared to everything else on your patio. If this helped you look at your summer garden differently, that's exactly what we're here for. So hit subscribe and drop a comment telling us which one you're trying first. We read every single one.